The converted mon is here to do part 2. All right. Here we go. No, I'm not looking forward to it. You know, it's just more pain. Oh, yeah. This is where we left off. Can't explain consciousness naturally, therefore the soul exists. One ginormous appeal to ignorance. That's all that is. So recap, I've been looking at all the arguments for God explained in 10 minutes. And he put 2 in there that aren't anything to do with God. He put Pascal's wager. He admitted that's not really proof of God. That's not really an argument for God. And he put in this one that's supposed to be an argument for the soul. It's like, dude, you could have saved some time, not even put those in. But I guess he was running low on material. And when you're making so many logical fallacies, you might as well throw in other bad arguments. Why not? We examined all the other stuff that he did, which were, the evidential stuff happens, must be God. It's just the complete appeal to personal incredulity, and appeal to ignorance. I can't explain this, so it's God. Here's things that happened that I think are spiritual that must be God. So more appeals to ignorance and personal incredulity. And he just did the moral argument, which is just asserted without any proof at all. And he asked if cannibalism was good or bad, and I linked to a documentary where the people they thought cannibalism was good. The conditions that they did it were the person was already dead, and the family of that person fed this guy the parts, basically gave him the parts of the person so he could eat them and perform this spiritual ritual with it. So, and then he said, it's only bad if God says it's bad, which of course ignores that good old your 3-bro, however you say that, dilemma. The ones like, is God good because it's good, or is it good because it's, God says it? Yeah, that whole thing. Let's see. Is God good because God? Let's see. Yeah, you're 3-prio. You're 3-prio? I don't know how to say this damn name. Anyways, how do you say U3-fro? Yeah, U3-fro. There you go. U3-fro dilemma. Anyways, yeah. Okay, so moving on. And then he gave us the broken cosmological argument, which makes the compositional fallacy. And then just asserts that you can't have infinity because you just can't. And then says that God doesn't get moved by anything else, except God would have to move itself, or God is a stationary object that can never move. And if God cannot change, then God can't create anything because creation would be something different, and therefore God couldn't do that. So I don't know. It's just completely unhinged. Then he said stuff about actuality and potency, and basically says that God is the ultimate unactualized actualizer, which means it has no potency at all. And I don't know what that means, but whatever. So he just whatever. And then he gave the broken Pascal's wager, which I showed to be flawed in every single way that it could be flawed. And the teleological argument, which is just like, hey, look, it looks designed. Look at the trees. That's all this is. At least he was fine with biological evolution, although he said Darwinian evolution. We've moved past Darwin. So I don't, but whatever. And then he, says, well, you've got the fine tuning, which isn't a thing. He lied about how fine tuning works. And then he made the argument that if pizza becomes super mega great, then pizza becomes God. So basically, if you just believe something is, then it becomes real. But of course, my concept of God is greater than his concept of God, because my concept of God uh, is one where God shows itself to the entire world, and that's greater than not showing yourself to the entire world. Then he appealed to experience, which is, of course, flawed for many reasons. Well, first and foremost, we have plenty of reasons to think that your experience is mundane in nature, and so you're just appealing to personal ignorance there, and that's not a good argument. And then he goes with tag, and he screws up even precept. He can't do precept right. He just asserts that things can't be proven scientifically, but he doesn't understand logic, so that's not true. Consistency in nature, I think that is proven by the fact that we're able to do science, and truth existing is proof. I'm not sure about that one. Maybe he's got that one. But basically, even if he was correct that these things couldn't be proven scientifically, that wouldn't make them non scientific or supernatural or needing to come from God. So it's more appeals to ignorance and personal incredulity. And then he said, don't understand consciousness, so it must be the soul. And then he got to mathematics, where I quit, and now we're back. And Captive Desk is here saying lobsters make more sense. I agree. The lobsters is the true Holy Bible, and all the other ones are fake. So he's going to talk about math, and I'm sure he's going to be wrong about everything he's going to say, and I'm going to complain about it. So here we go.
Universe. So basic mathematics needs something immaterial to explain consciousness. Then there's the argument from mathematics, which says there's an infinite reality higher than our physical universe. So basic math isn't all that special. For example, the number 5 corresponds to 5 apples, and 5 times 3 corresponds to 3 groups of 5 apples. But the more you get into advanced math, the more math starts to get disconnected from our world, but it still works. For example, there's real numbers, which are numbers that correspond to real things, but there's also imaginary numbers that are just as mathematically real, but they don't correspond to the real world, which is why they're not called real numbers. But they still exist mathematically, even though they don't exist in the real world. Let's look at the 5 most important numbers in mathematics. 1 is obviously important because it's the basis for all real numbers. 0 is very important because it's necessary for doing algebra. I is very important because it's the basis for all imaginary numbers. E is very important for doing exponential functions, and pi is necessary for doing math with circles. Now, all these numbers are seemingly unrelated to each other, but they fit together beautifully in this equation called Euler's identity. It was discovered by Euler, one of the greatest mathematicians in history, and he saw this as proof that math was designed by God.
I really thought you were gonna have the when you said that numbers get exponentially bigger, and that there's imaginary numbers, that then you were gonna say that then therefore proves that there must be a spiritual numbers or an imaginary realm, or something like that. But yeah, some guy said that this proves God exists. Good enough for you. Sure, why not? Yeah, man. Cool story, bro. Needs more dragons. But yeah, some guys thinking that this proves God exists doesn't mean that he was right. And I don't know what his argument is, but it's just a formula. I don't see how this would prove anything at all, other than what the formula says. So big deal. Like, why does this prove God? How does that work? Explain. You're not giving the argument. Give me the argument.
Also, Euler was a devout Calvinist. More evidence that math has a designer is the Mandelbrot set, which is
That's just looking at patterns and asserting that there's uh, some that means it was made by a thing. No, this is just the way that things work. The Mandalore set. It's just how reality functions. It's just that's it. That doesn't prove anything. It looks pretty. Oh, look, it's got patterns in it. It just appeals to pure, complete ignorance on your part. Seeing a pattern and thinking, oh, that must mean there's a pattern maker, is just not bright. It's just not very smart, and it isn't an argument because say, hey, look, that looks like a pattern. Yeah, it does look like it. Oh, that must mean it's designed. No, it doesn't mean that it's designed. You'd have to demonstrably demonstrate that that was made to do it in that way. But we don't need that because the function uh, that we can give to different numbers, we can make a computer do this, thing, and that's it. It's just a function that we can observe. There's nothing more to it. You're trying to put onto reality something that is completely unnecessary to explain this phenomenon. It's so ridiculous. It's just anthropomizing mathematics. That's it.
It's generated by a very simple equation in the complex plane, but it produces infinite detail. You can keep zooming in on this shape, and it will keep generating more and more complexity, even though nobody designed this.
Yeah, you just said it yourself. Nobody designed that. And you don't need anyone to design it. So we don't need a God to explain it because it just is. And what if that's the universe right there? Like you can just zoom in on atoms and just keep getting smaller, or you zoom out and you just keep getting bigger. Like maybe that's the true nature of reality right there. And it just is. And that is the sum total explanation. It's just there. And there isn't a thing more that explains it. Frustrating as an answer, but it could be the answer. Anyways, this is just nothing.
The Mandelbrot set is infinite, and it's not found anywhere in our universe.
You're showing it to us right now. It's on the screen. That's in our universe. It's right there. What do you mean it's not in our universe? It's right there. I'm looking at it. That's in our universe. What do you mean? What? Huh? It's not in our universe. Yes, it is. It's right there. You mean we haven't found that pattern in the universe? I don't know if we have or haven't. I mean, have we explored the entire universe yet?
So that means whatever created it must also be infinite and not from our universe.
You just all sorts of stupid. It is from our universe. And that it's infinite, doesn't that kind of counteract the thing that you said, oh, you can't have a true infinite? But right there, you have a true infinite. So, it's just weird. I don't. This is just. I can't even tell you what fallacy this is. I'm trying to think like what. Even, like, I was talking about valid and sound, right? Okay, so is this even valid? So if this is infinite, and if it is not from our universe, therefore it must be infinite and not from our universe. But you couldn't say it must have come from something infinite that's not our universe, because the association causation there is not linked. You're missing a key component to make it even a valid argument. So there's no hope in making this even remotely sound So your structure of your argument isn't even there. So we can safely say this isn't even an argument.
So those are the common arguments for God. And by the way, this video wasn't intending to make any of these arguments. It would take a much longer video to do any of these arguments justice. It's just to give you guys an overview of these arguments so you can look more into them yourselves if you want. And now it's time for the best argument of all, which is, trust me, bro.
Yeah. I guess. Trust me, bro, you're wrong. You didn't do a good job explaining these arguments, and every argument that you presented is flawed. But what's interesting to me is that these are actually arguments, whereas the atheist arguments you presented last time weren't actual arguments that anyone actually has ever made ever. It's almost like you just want to present your side and not present the other side fairly or something. It's like you're biased or something. Maybe you're just desperate for attention, and you're probably going to get it with this video. Well, that was quick. I could have done this last time, I guess. All right. Well, I thought it was going to be a lot more painful. I don't have to go for an hour complaining about it. Cool. Well, yeah. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you all guys, girls, and robots next time. Whatever. I didn't go crazy once, so that's good. Maybe there's some video I could do that would... No. I better stop now. All right, goodbye. Good night.